living my best life. Shout out to Cardi B there. All right, you ladies can have a seat. Thank you for that awesome introduction, Yvette. How are you ladies feeling after that segment? My name is Valerie Acosta. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. Shout out to New York. I'm of Ecuadorian descent, so shout out to all my Latinos in the house. And I am a double IMD with WorldVentures and $1 million earner. I got introduced to WorldVentures a little over 9 years ago, and 9 years exactly, Momentum was my first training event. Who here is their first training event this weekend? Welcome, welcome. Welcome to a life-changing weekend. And don't take those words lightly because I promise you, take that mindset and that's what you will receive this weekend. So my very first women's event, I was sitting somewhere back there and just taking it all in. It was my first time being around like a woman empowerment group. I don't know about you ladies, but growing up, I didn't have that around me. I didn't have any female mentors. You know, I was definitely inspired by the women in my family, but as far as peers, I didn't have this cool camaraderie around me. So to see it was like, wow, this actually exists. And I feel like at that point is when I truly started to fall in love with this culture that we have here in WorldVentures. Now, doing this for 9 years, you can only imagine, you know, the journey that I've been through. But at that women's event, seeing Janie Braun, shout out to Janie. She was one of the speakers that night, and hearing her story on stage made me believe that I can get this done. Her background was in the corporate world, and she was making 6 figures, but she was time broke. And I saw my life slowly becoming that. My background is in accounting, and I went to school for that. I was well into my career, was starting to climb the ladder, and eventually wanted to become a CFO. But I realized with more responsibility came more time being at work, and it's just something I didn't want to do anymore. So if there's one thing I want all of you ladies to get tonight is to be relatable to someone you saw on stage and say, you know what, if she can do it, so can I. So thank you, Janie, for being that spotlight for me at that time. So 9 years in, here I am. I see this presentation and I'm excited. But prior to seeing this, I want you to understand where I was that year. 2010, the beginning of that year, I was at a place where I was praying for something different in my life. For those of you who are New Yorkers, you can relate to this time, 20-degree weather, being in the train, snow, and I would sit down on my way to work and look left and look right and say, this can't be it for the next 40 years. This can't be it. Everyone on the train was always miserable. You don't say hi to nobody on that train. I said, this can't be it. I would come home and complain to my husband, and I'm like, there has to be more to this. And he would agree with me, and we would think of other things. And every business we thought of required a lot of capital, so we never really began anything. But we did take a trip to Barnes & Noble. I realized I didn't have any mentors or anyone empower me, so I said, let's go get a book to do that. And the book that I picked up, again, no one referred it to me. It was just me looking, and I believe it was because of the title was The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. I highly recommend that book. But at that time, I just picked it up, and I'm reading through it. I read through it quickly. I read about, you know, you're never going to become wealthy working for someone else. Have passive income. It's the true way to wealth. And I vented on Facebook. At that time, Instagram wasn't really popping. It was Facebook. So I get online. That post is still there sometime February, March, and I said, I'm not slaving for a 9-to-5 for the rest of my life. I have to figure out a way to make passive income, okay? So I spoke this life into existence, and I believe at that very moment, that book planted a seed in me of fun, freedom and fulfillment without me even realizing that. And the reason why I say that is because I had been introduced after that into other, residual income opportunities like makeup and health and legal and all these things that I saw it and I was, all for them. Okay, if this is something you want to do, cool, but it's not something for me. I wasn't passionate about it. I wasn't excited. But when I saw WorldVentures, it was like the emoji stars coming out of my eyes. I'm like, what? I can travel and make money? It was a no-brainer to me. So from that seed back then, I have grown into a really strong tree that stands here today. But to become this tree I am today, I had to weather many storms. And that's what I want to speak to you today. The first storm I had to deal with, which a lot of you relate because it was actually one of the questions, was dealing with a negative significant other, someone that's really close to you and not being supportive. So even though my husband, if you were here earlier, is an amazing, to me, he's the GOAT in this industry, he was not that person 9 years ago. So here I am excited about this idea, and he completely shut me down. He was like, this is stupid. You don't even know how to explain it. What are you doing? You have to see results before you even consider it. And I'm like, ugh. Because like Angie said, anything he had ever tried to do, I was always supportive. Even if I didn't completely agree, I was supportive. So for the first time, Valerie, who doesn't get excited about a lot of things, is excited and you shut me down, I was pissed off. So I told him, if you're going to be negative, I'd rather you not talk to me at all. And him, being the red that he is, was like, fine, then I'm not going to talk to you. So I'm like, fine, then don't talk to me. But I knew two things were going to happen. One of two things. Either I was going to allow his negativity to discourage me and quit, or I was going to put my foot down and get it done with or without. So I knew deep down my husband, has a lot of love and respect for me, and I knew it was only a matter of time before he jumped on board. And even if he didn't jump on board, I knew he eventually would be supportive. He just needed to know I was serious about it. And the way I had to show him I was serious about it was not talking to him. So we didn't speak. We literally didn't speak for a few days, and I didn't cook. I didn't do none of that. And guess what? A few days later, when we finally spoke, the text was, okay, I'm ready to get started. Yeah, so that is the journey of the Acosta empire. The other storm I had to weather with another negative Nancy was my mom. And that was honestly probably the hardest because I was raised by a single mom. Shout out to all the, single moms in the room. I know it's not an easy job. And my goal was always to make her proud. And, till that time, she was always very proud of me. But she started to realize I was spending a lot of time away from my daughter. And my daughter was 2 years old at the time, and she would call me up and say, I don't think you're doing a great job as a mom. These are the most precious time for her, and you're not even there for her. Here's your cousin. Your cousin's being a great mom. She's taking her kids to the park. And I'm like, to hear that from my mom, I was heartbroken. And I know she wasn't trying to be malicious, like a lot of people who are coming to you aren't trying to be malicious. It's their way of looking out for you because it's unfamiliar to them. See, if it was a traditional business, would my mom be saying that to me? No. But because it's something she has never seen before, in her eyes, she saw it as, oh, you're chasing money. You're chasing greed. She's a very spiritual woman, so she felt like this is not your journey. You're doing good. You're a college graduate. You're living a good life. Why are you doing this? And then that's when I also had to shut her down respectfully. And I told her, I understand where you're coming from, but you don't understand where I'm coming from. I'm doing this because I want to be able to raise my daughter, because I want to be the parent, the school mom, go on all the trips, pick her up, drop her off, do all these things that unfortunately because you couldn't do for me because you had no choice. All I'm asking you is to be respectful and don't throw any negativity to me because I am already getting enough from the outer world. And she agreed. That summer, she came to visit me in New York. She was living in Florida. She came to visit me and I invited her to regional, and her mind changed. And she said, I love WorldVentures. And she began helping me recruit people. Till this day, she still helps me recruit people. I picked her up the other day at her job, and she works at a school, and she's like, yeah, look, this is my daughter's Range Rover. You told me you want to be an entrepreneur, right? Mamita, get his number. I'm like, all right, Ma. So it just goes to show, some of the steps that I'm sure you ladies have had to deal with. Another storm I had to deal with, which many of you have already gone through, is dealing with a bunch of no's. Are you aware that majority of the people are going to tell you no? Okay, if you're not aware of that, become aware. Majority of the people that me and my husband have shown have told us no. And yet, here we stand as million-dollar earners. Go get some no's. Do you understand what makes a tree stronger? Storms. If you actually research the growth of a tree, they actually grow faster with the more storms that hit them. Isn't that amazing? That's how I like to reflect this business. Another storm you're going to have to deal with that I've dealt with are people quitting. I was close to senior rep, 29:30. I remember I was like, oh my God, this week I'm going to hit it. Next day I wake up, 10 dropped. How? How did that happen? And I remember going to my mentor and saying, what's going on? I don't know what I did wrong with my team. And he's like, team? Do you have 30 personals? I'm like, no. He's like, so you don't have a team. I was like, ooh, okay. So guess what I did? Put in 30 personals fast. That is your goal for the next month. 30 personals fast. I promise you're not even going to pay attention to the quitters. The next storm is when you start to rise and raise leaders, some of them will leave. You pour your heart and soul into these individuals. You see something in them and you genuinely want to help them rise, and you do. But all of a sudden, they get hit with the grass is greener storm. It happens every so often. The grass is greener here, Valerie, but now there's this thing over there that just has glitz and glam. It just seems like the better opportunity for me because I can actually sit home, do nothing, and make money. Yeah, people actually think that. I'm like, okay. And it does hurt sometimes. And you start to question, man, like, I continue to build these people up, and they don't even, not just the value that I bring, but the value of what our community as a culture, as WorldVentures has brought in, and just quick to be like, it happens. It happens. Be okay with that. Do you know that second and third marriages are more likely to fail than the first? Why is that? Because usually the problem is not your spouse. You take you wherever you gotta go. So it doesn't matter where you land. The grass is gonna be green where you water it. And let me tell you another thing. In these 9 years that I've been involved, 99% of the people that I've seen go to where the grass is greener soon realized it was fake. It's gonna happen. And I'm telling you all these storms, ladies, because I want you to embrace it. It's going to happen. Sometimes people call me and ask me, like, how are you being so peaceful when storms come through your life? My number one answer is because God is guiding me. And my second answer is it's only a matter of time. It's going to happen again. You just have to prepare for it. And guess what? The next time it comes around, I'm going to be better prepared. Why? Because now I'm a stronger tree than I was 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. The other storm you're going to have to deal with is your sponsor quitting, your upline leaving. Boo-hoo. Valerie, but I got started, and a year ago, my sponsor, who was so excited, is no longer here. Did you get started for them, or you got started for you? Listen, I'm grateful for being introduced to this concept, but I did not get started to help my sponsor. I did not get started to help my upline. I got started because I saw a vision for me and my family. So would I love for everyone to stay? Of course, but if they don't, that is not my problem. Some of you cry about uplines leaving that have never even done a presentation for you. What? Oh, Valerie, but you've never even spoken to that person. What do you care? Another thing we have to pay attention, though, my strong trees in the first few rows, because there's many of you here, is that even as we grow to a strong tree, we still have to be careful. Because trees can become wounded. In real life, if the trunk of a tree is ruined, the growth stops and eventually messes up the roots. And you know where that's most likely to happen? When you constantly move the tree around. So understand that these storms are coming to your life, but they're not coming to destroy you. They're coming to make you stronger. However, if your roots are not deep enough, you are going to continue to allow every storm to take you out. Don't let that be you. It has not been highs all the 9 years. But I love what Glenda said. I wouldn't change one thing because it wouldn't make me who I am today. The storm of, oh, we did a billion in a few years. Why aren't we making 10 billion this year? Relax. We're going to get there. But you know what bothers me so much, especially with my 20 and early 30-year-olds who get started with this business, is that when you get started, you're quick to hashtag entrepreneur life. Excited. Boss life, entrepreneur life. But when it's time to do real entrepreneur-ish and deal through the hurdles, you go back into that employee mindset. Oh, but they're not doing this for me. They're not doing that right. They're not doing this right. Why don't you join forces and focus on how we can get better? What would you do in a traditional business? Imagine you open a traditional business and every business goes through it. Ladies, I'm an accountant. I work for a lot of businesses. I see the back end. I promise you, every business has its ups and downs. So imagine if in a traditional business, you're all excited when things are good. That's when you hashtag entrepreneur life. But the minute things get bad, you're like, oh, bankrupt. Let me go open a new company. So if you're going to hashtag and be a true entrepreneur, live it through the highs and live it through the lows. I'm going to end it with this, ladies. All of you, no matter where you are in this business, always remain a student. Always remain humble. But even with that, I want every day for all of you to wake up, look in the mirror, and say, I am enough. Take ownership. Don't wait for your upline, your sideline, anyone to get it done. You have to look in the mirror and say, I am enough. I know the storms are coming. I know this person's going to talk about me. I know that this person's going to quit on me. It's going to happen. Embrace it. But your roots have to be so deep. Your vision has to be so big that it doesn't matter what happens. You see the end result. And more importantly, you're going to embrace and enjoy the process, because I promise you, as much as I love the end result, I love that I have the dream home, the dream car, the freedom, which is the most important thing to me. When I reflect on everything, the joy is always in the journey. Embrace the journey, ladies. Thank you for your time, and make this an incredible weekend. Love you. God bless.
Turned on my L's.